Hello, this is Mr. B again. So if you're at this point where you're ready to go through the practice problem before you do your project, this is before you do the project, so we're just working through an example together so that you know fully like how to do everything. And before we do this, you should have already watched these videos. This is the first video you should watch, and then these other three right here will help you with everything we do in this project. So these are all the three videos that we saw here. We checked them all off. We're going to be using an example right here. The example that we're going to use is a bicycle that has 2 gears in the front and 5 gears in the back. The 2 gears in the front have 30 and 24 teeth, and the gears in the back have these number of teeth right here. So I kind of drew this so you can examine, like you can visualize how this bicycle looks right here. The first question that we ask is, how many combinations are made with the gears? So let's take a look at our Part 2 practice problem. So here are the gears. It gives you the information, and in this part right here, it gives you the number of teeth. Make sure you read this. Make sure you read the directions. And as we explained before, this is the first part right here. You don't have to necessarily do this first. You can do this project out of order if you'd like. That's fine, as long as the whole thing gets done. It might be easiest to wait until the end to do this part right here. But the question is, how many gear combinations are possible if there are 2 gears in the front and 5 gears in the back? Well, let's go back to our diagram here. When we see a bicycle being run like this, a chain will connect the front gear to each of the back gears. So the front gear that has 30 teeth can be attached to all 5 of these, and then we can switch gears in the front, and then the 24 teeth gear can also be attached to all 5 of these gears. So that being said, how many possible combinations are there for gear combinations or gear ratios? And if you said 10, I think that's a very good answer right there. So what we'll do is we'll fill in our table. And so I'm going to take a look down here, and I've completed the first part of the table for you. In yours, you are following along here. You'll notice that I've filled in the first column with the number of front gears here, just as a starter here. So there's 5 possibilities where there's 24 teeth in the front, and then there's 5 possible combinations where there are 30 teeth in the front. I'm going to use this right here to fill in while you use the Google Sheets. Follow along on Google Sheets in the Practice tab, and we'll just kind of do this together. I also want to say right here that you should pause this video at any time so that you can work through it and then start it back up so you can see the answers. So if the 24 teeth in the front, how many teeth are in the rear gears? Well, we'll just take a look at our information here. And you don't have to go in any order. I'll just start with the 24, I guess. 24, 20, 16, 12, and 8. So we'll just... And you could type yours in as well. I will repeat that for the other gear. The gear with 30 teeth will also still connect with the same gears that we saw up here. So I'm going to do this kind of a fast way. So we'll see all of these possible combinations where there's 24 in the front gear, 24 in the back gear, or the 24 and 20, or 24 and 16. These are all the combinations that the 2 gears, the front and the back, can be attached. And do you see the 10 combinations? There's 10 possibilities right here. So that's our first step. The second step is to write the ratio. So this is simply writing the numbers. We don't have to, at this point, don't worry about simplifying. We're just going to write the ratio. So pause the video right now, and then you complete the ratios in your table. Okay, at this point, you should have your gear ratios written down. Now, if you need more time, feel free to hit pause right here. Let's go to our gear ratio. This is where we simplify these numbers. So 24 to 24 is simplified 1 to 1. Let's go ahead and simplify these. So all of these are being simplified. So when you do this, think about writing it like a fraction. You may have to, on a piece of paper, just kind of jot these down and say, all right, 24 to 20. I want to simplify this ratio like I simplify a fraction. So we can divide by 2. 24 divided by 2 is 12. 20 divided by 2 is 10. We can also divide by 2 again. Okay, I'm running out of room, so I'm going to come down here. 12 divided by 2 and 10 divided by 2 is 5. So this is as far as we go, and that's where we would type in our ratio. You will want to do the same with each of these ratios. Write them out as fractions, simplify them just like you would a fraction, and then type in the ratio. Make sure they're typed in the correct order. Pause your video right now so you can complete the gear ratio column. Here are the answers for the gear ratio column. At this point, you should have all of your gear ratios finished, and you can check your work right here. The last thing we need to do for our table is to rank these. I had the wrong heading up here, so I changed it to match the same heading that you have in yours. We are ranking them for speed, starting at number 1, which will be the fastest gear. That'll be the highest number that we have. So one thing we need to do is, let's write these gear ratios in fraction form. So here we have our table, and we have all of our ratios written in fraction form. Easiest way to do this is use your calculator. So grab your calculators, and many of these, you don't need a calculator for many of these, but you may if you want to, just to check your work. You could do 6 divided by 5, type out your number in decimal form. 3 divided by 2, you probably know what that is. You should know that's 1.5. 2, of course, 2 divided by 1, 3 divided by 1. Go ahead and do each of these and write out on a piece of paper or something, on your scrap paper, write out the decimal number that you get. Pause this right here, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the answers in and you can check yours. Okay, here are our answers. Here's what I got. Some of these are duplicates, so we get the same answer for both of them. For example, 3 to 2 here is the same as 3 to 2 here. Even though the numbers in our original ratio are different, they are equivalent ratios, 3 to 2. So I just wrote that one time up here. Now let's rank these. The highest number is the fastest speed, so that would be the combination of gears that bike would move the fastest. That would definitely be used for downhill or straight shots if you really want to gain speed. So what's the greatest number? Look at all those. It's easy to look at those decimal numbers. So it looks like the greatest number is right here, 3.75. So we're going to put, I'm going to check that so I don't keep using it. 15 to 4 is this combination right here. That's going to be number 1 right there. What is the next? Looks to me like 3 is. So this combination, 3 to 1, that's going to be number 2. That's the second fastest gear combination. All right, what's next? You keep going. In fact, I'm going to stop right here. I want you to pause right here, and I want you to fill in the rest, and then I'll come back and we'll check. Okay, let's keep going with these. I think this one is next right here, 2.5. 5 to 2 right here. So I'm going to put that number 3. And let's see, number 2 right here. That's definitely going to be the next one. So that's number 4. And looks like this would be next for number 5. 8. Then I'm looking to see if there's any ties. I know this is a tie right here. So 1.5. This is the next one, number 6. So we're going to make that twice. We're going to, if they tie, we put it twice. 6 and 6. All right, let's keep going. So I think the next one, this is a little bit larger. This number is a little bit larger than this one, very close. But 5 to 4 is going to be our number 7 gear. And it looks like this is the 8th fastest. And finally, this is the 9th fastest, or otherwise known as the slowest gear. So this might be the slowest gear, but it is actually the easiest gear to pedal. So we would definitely want this low gear if we were going up a steep hill. It would make it so much easier. So we like all the gears. All right, so we have filled out our table. One more thing I would want you to do is to highlight the cells that are tied for the same place. And just to show you how to highlight cells, you can select a row, you can click and then just kind of drag your cursor to select a row, and then you can choose the paint bucket right here and highlight it with a yellow or a green or blue, some bright color, and then whatever two rows match that if they have the same, you would just want to do that to both of them, color code them so we know that, oh, those two are the same. Now I just used an example, just show you how to use that paint bucket to highlight cells. You will be asked to do that in your project. So let me go back here. I don't want to keep those there. So that is our first part right here, the table. A lot of your grade will come from this table right here, doing it correctly. Let's go back to our question here. Now, let's think about our question. How many gear combinations are possible for a bike that has 2 gears in the front and 5 gears in the back? And we answered that in our exploration at our table. There are 10 combinations. So we need to explain that here. You will want to write sentences to explain, I think there are 10 combinations and here's why. Or this is how I know there are 10 combinations. Now remember to use math language. That's basically all you need to do to explain that, is to show, for every gear that's in the front, there are this many in the back or something like that. That's a very effective way to explain any relationship between two things that involve a ratio here. We also want to do a diagram, and that was part of your other video, so make sure you include a diagram. And then this question here, which gear combination makes the bike move the fastest? Well, we figured what that was in our table. I don't have it here. In our table, the combination was the 30 in the front and the 8 in the back. That was the biggest gear in the front and the smallest gear in the back. So we can write that in and say this is the combination that makes it move the fastest. Justify your answer. How do you know that that makes it move the fastest? And you can explain it in a number of ways. You could say, well, that's the largest gear in the front and the smallest gear in the back create the greatest gear ratio. You can use a lot of different ways to explain this question. Lastly, the exploration down here. So this is the gear generator, where you get to create your own gear tools. So the video for the gear generator is going to be, I'm going to put a video right here. I think I'll put a video tutorial so you can see exactly how to use the gear ratio or the gear generator to create some. I just wanted to jump in here and correct something. I did not put the video link where I said I did right there in the video here. I put the link above the Get Started. You'll find it right there above the Get Started where you see it on this page. Gears. So just in here, describe, using words, just describe a machine. You can make it up. It could be an imaginary machine, or it could be a real machine, like an automatic blender or something, a handheld nuclear powered blender. I'm just making it up. So you can make up some type of machine. You can make up an imaginary machine and also create or put a link to your gears so I can see your gears. You may put a link anywhere along the side, any of these cells. You can scroll down, put a link down here so I can see what your gears look like. Okay. So I will put a tutorial over here. You don't see it now, but I'll put one right here so that you know how to work with that gear generator. And that is your project. You are ready for your project. You may go through this video more than once and see it and work through the practice. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.